This morning, the unveiling of the 50th Independence Anniversary Arch was quite a momentous occasion. There is a dire need for the promised enhanced industrial relations climate in GTUC. High drama erupted at the Parliament View Mall earlier today when the opposition leader paid a visit. The coalition is keeping with its promise one step at a time after a year in office. In the region, the nurse caught on camera on social media ill-treating an elderly woman is before the court. And internationally, Egypt Air crash adds to Egypt's troubles.
From Safetv headquarters in South Raval Gardens, this is Safetv Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel. Join us. Today was marked by a momentous occasion, the unveiling of the 50th Independence Anniversary Arch. Here's more. This morning started with pomp and circumstance at the unveiling of the 50th Independence Anniversary Arch. It is located at the junction of Eccles and Agricola along the East Bank Highway. It demarks the southern border of Georgetown. The arch is a cooperative effort from the government of Guyana and Banks DIH Limited. The ceremony was well attended by dignitaries, media, local school children, as well as residents of Eccles and Agricola. The audience listened to remarks from Clifford Race, chairman of Banks DIH, minister within the Ministry of Education, Nicolette Henry, and Minister of Public Infrastructure, David Patterson. The keynote speaker for the event was President David Arthur Granger. After giving a short history of Georgetown, he spoke of the significance of arches in Guyana.
This arch, as you heard before from the chairman, is not unique. Our people, particularly those in rural communities, built their own arches to celebrate independence in 1966.
As the president has stated, the concept of arches in Guyana is not unique to this arch. It is the symbolism of this particular arch and the time in which it was built gives it such a resounding impact in the hearts and minds of citizens throughout Guyana.
This arch, moreover, will not only separate the city from its surrounding areas, but it separates the past from the future. It defies the disappointments and setbacks of our history. It defines our identity. It denotes the victory of our people's independence after 350 years of colonialism. It is a beacon of prosperity for rural folk who come here to settle in our capital city. Georgetown, with good management and the collaboration of civil society, the business community, our foreign friends, and our citizens, will recapture its appellation as a garden city. It will never again be known as a garbage city.
After addressing the audience, the president made his way to the arch for the actual unveiling of the plaque commemorating the event. After the unveiling, President Granger shook the hands of local residents who came out to view the historic moment. Past president of the Guyana Trades Union Congress, Mr. Norris Witter, expressed this morning that the new administration has yet to set the stage for the promised enhanced industrial relations climate. According to Mr. Witter, this has a lot to do with their failure to properly set up an independent labor ministry. Kingsley Bryan sat down with Mr. Witter and now brings you this report.
The Guyana Trades Union Congress has condemned the new administration for the approach it has taken in dealing with labor and the industrial relations climate in this country. Mr. Witter said this was so because the administration was repeating the actions of the former regime, something that was promised on and off the campaign trail, to never practice the actions of the PPP.
However, what we have seen is a replication, a continuation of many of the excesses of the PPC regime, and we are concerned about that.
Mr. Witter said the industrial relations climate was very unstable, since the coalition government has done little to deal with issues. This is being blamed on their failure to establish an independent labor ministry.
We have now labor, right, as a department of the Ministry of Social Protection. We believe strongly that it is disrespectful to labor. It is contemptuous, right? And we have spoken about it before.
The veteran trade unionist said the dismissive attitude of the administration is disappointing. However, Mr. Witter is warning that no good will come from continuing along that path.
And if they continue to treat labor and the working people in this manner, right, the consequences for this very administration will be dire.
Mr. Witter said the administration must not fail in recognizing that the very working class are the persons responsible for their current positioning. He stated that they too were in contempt of a set of conventions, treaties and bodies, including the International Labour Organization, to which Guyana is a signatory. George.
Thank you, Kingsley. Minister Moses Nagamutu says the coalition is keeping its promises one step at a time after its first year in office. Andrew Weeks has this report.
In an exclusive interview with Genius Communication Officer Azim Khan, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu said that goodwill was what the people of Ghana voted for 1 year ago.
What is important to me is that people wanted a change, and they pledged their goodwill. They handed their goodwill to us and say, listen, we want you to do what it takes to get it done. And so when you come in with people wanting you to do something and to do something differently, we believe that yes, we could do it with that support from the base and that willingness.
Mr. Nagamutu stated that the coalition faced and continues to face many challenges left by the former PPC administration, but this did not prevent them from keeping their objectives of providing a good life for all Guyanese. The Prime Minister spoke of the importance of cabinet meetings in the execution of their duties as leaders of the country.
Cabinet meetings don't last for 2 hours anymore. It's not a happy hour, a weekend happy hour. Cabinet meetings last for between 7 and 8 hours. We make sure that we attend to every single business of the nation at cabinet. Every single contract that will require no objection would be dealt with so that you could activate some economic activities in a village, in a community.
The Prime Minister also assured visitors that coming here for Ghana's 50th Golden Jubilee celebrations would be safe and that they would not worry about the negative reports coming from the opposition's camp about security and safety during these activities. As for Stabrook Square, the Prime Minister had this to say.
All the plans we have for the marketplace, the Stabrook Market, to make it into a beautiful square, the Stabrook Square. Like everywhere else in the world, you have a square. People go to China, they look forward to visiting Tiananmen Square. You go to Moscow, you want to visit Red Square. You go to New York, you want to visit Times Square. And so you go to London, you want to visit Trafalgar Square. We are, if you're serious as a government, then you must be able to allow the Guyanese people to be celebrated for the Stabrook Square. Clean. It must be clean and it must be safe. And so the City Council, as well as the central government, deserve the commendation for starting a process that will show that you could be capable of having a clean square. You could hold occasional cultural events, friends can come and meet there, and you could move out from Georgetown to the towns.
George Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu said visitors can now go to all the towns in the city and feel a sense of pride that these towns are now going to become the capital of the various regions. This was due to a promise the coalition government made in their 2015 manifesto and will continue to make until all is fulfilled. I will bring you more on the Prime Minister's interview on our Monday edition next week. George, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, President David Granger examines the state of readiness for Guyana's transitioning into a green economy. And the first radio station in the Rupununi will be commissioned on Sunday.
I'll say, will you marry me? I swear that I will mean it. I say, will you marry
John Lewis Styles, simply different.
If you're in town and you're looking for a mall with everything under one roof, then you need to go to the Parliament View Vendors Mall. Here is why.
I save money right now. And when people come in and feel the place, I tell them to come back and support us.
You can get your bread, your top of your fruits, your hats, your pants, everything in this one location.
The mall is very comfortable. We're working for more comfortable, so people feel more relaxed to come and support us.
Wonderful greens, fresh and nice, fresh kalu, kuku, rumblante, fresh and nice. We are right here, Parliament View.
Get the roads to the mountain, everything again. Clean out.
You know where we used to sell before? So them tell me we want in your mall.
Come to Parliament View, get juice, milk and bump from me.
Come and support us.
Go to the Parliament View Mall and support your vendors, support your persons who you bought from.
The new Parliament View Vendors Mall. Everything fresh and clean and in order at one location. Sponsored by the Mayor and City Council of Georgetown.
As we celebrate 50 years of Guyana's independence, let's get together and spend an evening at the grand Best in 50 Retro Show and Dance on Friday, May 27th, 2016 at the Pegasus Poolside. Come and reminisce as you mix with the elegant, matured, and sophisticated while you enjoy the show and party to the best retro sounds. Tickets are $15,000 per couple and $8,000 for single with dinner included. Avoid disappointment and book your tickets and tables now. For bookings and tickets, call 223-6047 or 696-5746. That's 223-6047 or 696-5746. It's the Grand 50th Retro Show and Dance, Friday, May 27th from 8 p.m. at the Pegasus Poolside. Dress elegant, come early and stay late.
It's here! An exciting and fun-filled all-day cruise along the Demawar River from Georgetown to Linden and back. It's Guyana's 50th Independence Boat Cruise. There's no better way to celebrate your bank's country. Party to the vibes of Super Ray out of Guyana, Terry the one-man band out of New York, Colin Ailinja out of France, and the CYGMA band featuring Yonet Hooper out of New Jersey, USA. It's all happening on Saturday the 21st of May. 2K16, departing from the Dockal Wharf at Friendship, East Bank, Demawara at 7 a.m. The gates open at 5. Tasty Guyanese foods and drinks will be available. Tickets $5,000 and are available in Linden at Annie's Supermarket, Bonita Primo and the RDC office, or in Georgetown at the White Castle Fish Shop, Ashman's Trading, or New York Linda's Restaurant. No weapons, alcohol, bottles, or any type of glass allowed. Wear one or more colors of the Guyana flag. Compliments of Banks Beer. Have fun in Banks.
With a distinctive flavor, Palkagi is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This Palkagi is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Palkagi is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
This is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
President David Granger yesterday met with heads within the natural resources sector to determine the state of readiness for transitioning the country to a green economy. Headline News senior reporter Andrew Weeks has our story.
President David Granger yesterday met with the heads of the various agencies, that is, the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Ministry of the Presidency, and the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, with responsibilities for the Guyana's natural resources to assess Guyana's preparedness for transition to a green economy. According to a report from the Ministry of the Presidency, President Granger said that the environment plays a critical role in the development of any country, and it is therefore necessary that Guyana takes steps to ensure that it does not lag behind its counterparts. The President also said that Guyana was not keeping abreast with other states in terms of the mastering of its environment, and that it was apparent that several other states, even the smaller states, had made a lot more progress in their approaches to the environment, particularly in energy generation, and this has been a major problem for Guyana. The President further stated that this country is the best endowed Caribbean state in terms of potential, and other countries are making headway in solar and wind energy generation way ahead of Guyana. It was a closed-door meeting, but after it was through, Minister of Natural Resources Rafael Trotman thought that the timing was quite right relative to where Guyana would like to be.
And I think aptly so, now that we are about to mark the 50th year of our anniversary as an independent nation, it is obvious that the future of Guyana is going to be grounded in its economy being green, and that means one that is environmentally friendly, respectful of the environment, the patrimony of Guyana, and how things and our resources can be used in a sustainable manner.
Minister Trotman also feels a coordinated effort is the best way to achieve the green economy goal.
It's obvious that we are not hitting the mark. We are doing our individual best, and I think we're doing relatively well, but I believe that the cohesive and coordinated approach will give us close to a 90% success rate. So
CEO of the Iroquois Center, Dr. Dean Gobin, and Janelle Christian, head of the Office of Climate Change, shared their thoughts on the meeting.
I think it was very useful. As the President said and both ministers, I don't know that there has ever been a meeting with all of the agencies involved. And in fact, I came up with some very useful ideas and links to approach and partner with the various agencies. So I think it is actually a first step in moving to a consolidated approach to the environment.
As you know, development resources are very scarce, and I believe if we have a forum such as this, it would help us, all of the agencies, to map those resources, fill the gaps, and avoid duplication, so that we can have effective development even as we plan and determine Guyana's priority towards the green economy over the next 5 years or so.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
George, since Mr. Granger was elected to office on May 16, 2015, the President has been advocating for Guyana to transition to a green economy. With the growing negative effects of climate change, smaller countries like Guyana and those in the Caribbean are particularly vulnerable and are already dealing with an increase in the frequency of hurricane, tropical storms, high tides, droughts and flooding. The next meeting is set for June, when the heads will return to give the President a full report on the course to a green economy. George, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew. The first radio station in the Rupununi will be commissioned on Sunday. Rihanna Ahmad will tell you more in this report.
The government is delivering on its promise to bridge the communication gap between the hinterland and the coastland. Prime Minister Moses Nagamootoo took to the stage at the Guyana National Stadium last evening to make this announcement.
The first radio station in the Rupununi would be commissioned by me on Sunday.
Currently, Radio Pine Womack, located at the Beena Hill Institute, Anna Region 9, is Guyana's only community radio station broadcasting in the Rupununi. It serves over 65 indigenous communities. It is the first indigenous community radio station operating in Guyana, and most of the broadcast is done in the native Amerindian language.
We wish that your programs here will for the first time reach our people in Latham and all the adjoining communities.
It does not end there. Region 1 also stands to benefit from better communication linkages with the coastland.
In the following week, we hope to commission the first FM radio station in Mabaruma, so that we're taking the message of our people's struggle, our people's aspiration, our people's hope, our people's faith to all parts of our Guyana.
The administration, according to the country's first vice president, is moving to have an outlet which will allow the preservation of major faiths, which might possibly be able to promote culture and morale.
I'm hoping also that before the end of this year, that Guyana will have its first interfaith television station to be managed by the interfaith community.
The Prime Minister believes that this will ensure that each religious group is afforded equal airtime to promote their beliefs without any form of bias from private owners. George?
Thanks, Rihanna. The Guyana Jubilee Festival was kicked off with an evening of spiritual and cultural performances. Here's more. Thursday night was the opening night of the Guyana Jubilee Festival at the National Stadium. The opening event was presided over by Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu and Minister of Tourism Kathy Hughes. Minister Hughes referred to the event as an evening of spiritual upliftment.
It's an evening of spiritual upliftment, and that is an excellent opportunity for our gospel and all our religious kinds of music to be showcased tonight. And I must say to you, we've got a range of talented young Guyanese and old Guyanese from all across our country.
The evening was a fusion of several spiritual and cultural expressions as unique and vibrant as the nation they all represent, Guyana. The audience was treated to expressions of faith from Christian, Rastafari, Hindu, and Muslim groups. Also, there was a soca-themed call for respect from the original Guyanese people, Amerindians.
We never had an Amerindia president, no, we never live in the resident. He had Afro, Indo, white and Chinese, all of them are come long after we. We had a Portuguese prime minister, but man never had none other. Don't tell me that in this school, you take Buckman for a fool. I'm calling on the authorities to do something very quickly. I will stand idle by and watch me brother and sister cry.
The Guyana Jubilee Festival will be celebrated from Thursday to Sunday at the National Stadium in Providence, East Bank, Demerara. The entrance fee is $500 and children under 12 are free.
In the belly of the beast, from Africa or somewhere in the jungles of Guyana, or a servant indentured whether Indian, Portuguese or Chinese, or a European conqueror from overseas, we are all melted in the pot called Guyanese.
Drama erupted at the Parliament View Mall earlier today when the opposition leader paid vendors there a visit. Rihanna Ahmad has the story.
Leader of the opposition, Dr. Barra Jagdeo, visited the Parliament View Mall today, perhaps to get the support of vendors who had been relocated. But an attempt to get them to rebel against the government's decision to stop street-side vending did not go as planned. Upon arriving at the Lombard and Hatfield Streets location, Jagdeo and his team of PUP executives were bombarded by staunch government supporters. Apart from some of the expletives and insults that were hurled at the former president, some persons used the opportunity to raise legitimate concerns about the PUP's time in office.
How do you feel now that this place is cleaned up after so many years of neglect?
That we should enjoy the cleanliness. We should all enjoy it.
Why didn't you do that?
Yeah, well, the new government did it, and we should enjoy it.
Okay.
One overseas-based man whose son died a few years ago while carrying out his duties as a police officer here in Guyana tackled Jagdeo concerning the government's failure to compensate the officer's family.
I went to you in the office and you promised me.
Yeah, but here what happened?
I ain't got nothing for my son. On the guy on duty, on the blast, you promise. When I die, they're going to compensate the parents.
But there was a fund set up to compensate them managed by the army.
Hello.
And you never get anything?
Nothing, never get. Nothing.
Listen, I could easily follow up for you.
After Jagdio's engagements with some members of the public, he was escorted back to Freedom House by government supporters who were verbally adamant that Guyana was now in good hands. It was there that the opposition leader addressed the media.
It's a double whammy that those vendors are hit with. One, business is slow, and secondly, they're placed in an area where nobody goes.
Despite the initial concerns, some vendors seem to be settling in well in their new location. However, George, there's still one concern. That is whether or not the relocation is permanent.
Thanks, Rihanna. The young mother of 17, who was on life support for the past few days, has died. Her baby passed away on Wednesday of this week. We at Headline News offer our condolences to the members of her family. Still ahead, our regional and international news.
Women's fashion trends change every day. That's why John Lewis Styles makes it their duty to source items directly from the manufacturing brand, offering you more choices and better prices. Women love to look great, whether it's for work or play, from clothing, shoes, accessories, to handbags, watches, fragrances. Let's make you feel like the only girl in the world. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Basketball fans, get ready for the invasion of the mighty DC Jammers of the US of A. Yes, they are coming to challenge the reigning top 4 basketball clubs in Guyana. The Goodwill Tour begins on Saturday, May 21st, when the Jammers battle the Ravens. On Sunday, May 22nd, they take on the Raiders from Linden. The action continues on Tuesday, May 24, when they match up with the Pacesetters. Then come Friday, May 27th, the DC Jammers takes on MVP Stanton Rose and his champion club, the Bounty Colts. All games starts at 18:30 hours at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. Supporting games will feature Youth Basketball Guyana. Tickets cost $1,000. Children under 12 absolutely free. Chow Power will be in the house with lots of giveaways. Don't you dare miss the excitement. It's a Jubilee celebration. Basketball is back, sponsored by Mackinson.
Cause I owe it to me. Baby, all the men stand against the wall. They're so fine, they're so tall. And I wish they would come home with me. Baby, can you feel it?
Fire, tell them about Victoria, the legends of Victoria, the secrets of Victoria now.
Get your tickets now for Legend of Victoria Village, written and directed by Ras Leon Saul, National Culture Center, Friday, May 20th to Sunday, May 22nd from 8 p.m. Admission, $1,500 and $1,000. Tickets now at NCC Box Office, sponsored by Banks, DIH.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
In news from the region now. In Barbados, a nurse who cared for the elderly was caught on camera ill-treating a patient. The video was released on social media and many were calling for the nurse to be jailed. But the Nursing Association on the island came out in defense of the nurse. The alleged nurse, Ariel King, was placed before the courts and was later released on $3,000 Barbadian bail. Here is the reaction from the Nurses Association on the island statement on the issue from Barbados Today Afternoon Report.
Meantime, President of the Barbados Nursing Association, Blondell Mullin, is distancing members of the profession from King's alleged actions, making it clear that auxiliary nurses are only caregivers and not nurses. Mullin tells Barbados Today the nursing fraternity is very disturbed by the incident.
Yes, we are very disturbed about that, and we agree with the ministry for taking the action they have taken, and we also want the public to know that the nurse is a nursing auxiliary, and people keep saying nurse, but she's a caregiver or a nursing auxiliary, a health aide. And those are just trained for 6 months. And therefore, we just want people to not brand nurses, to think that that's what nurses do, because trained nurses know how to treat the elderly, and we know when they have Alzheimer's, how they behave, and we know how to react to their behavior. So the trained nurse will never treat a patient like that.
And, internationally, the Egypt air crash adds to Egypt's troubles. CNN Ben Wiedemann explains why the last 5 years have been so rough in Egypt and how the country's latest disaster, the crash of Egypt Air Flight 804, only makes things worse.
The last 5 years have been rough on Egypt. The hope and optimism born in the uprising that deposed President Hosni Mubarak have been eclipsed by instability, terrorism, violence, and repression. In 2012, Egypt had its first ever democratic presidential election, electing the Muslim Brotherhood's Mohammed Morsi. But after a year, he was ousted by the Egyptian military after massive popular protests. Then Defense Minister Abdel Fattah Sisi took power and later won a presidential election. Sisi promised to bring stability and prosperity and crack down on terrorism, but so far he's failed on all fronts. Militants in the Sinai Peninsula have set up an ISIS statelet there, and they claimed responsibility for the bomb that brought down a Russian Metrojet airliner in October 2015. This came a month after Egyptian security forces killed 12 tourists and wounded 10 others in the country's western desert after they were mistaken for terrorists. Tourism is an important part of the Egyptian economy and has taken a nosedive. And with the crash of Egypt Air Flight 804, things will probably only get worse.
And that's Safetv 2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Safetv 2 Headline News on Facebook and YouTube. You can also tune in on Sunday evening at 6:30 for a rebroadcast and Monday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out from this newscast. Good night, and do have a blessed weekend.